Hi, everyone. This is the first official podcast of Wellness, Love, and Peace with me, Michelle, and Tracy. I am Jennifer Van Allen, and I run Joyful Health, where I help people get healthier. And I also train other people how to be future practitioners. And I'm going to introduce the ladies. Michelle, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Michelle Calandro. I'm in Florida. I don't know what else I should say.
You're amazing and a future practitioner. And I can, if you don't mind, go ahead and turn your volume up so I can hear you a little better, Michelle. Once I press the go live button, it kind of switched some of the things. So thank you guys for tuning in. And this is, like I said, our first podcast. So we're figuring out some glitchy issues. And then Tracy, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Tracy Henderson, and I am awesome, and I am also a student of yours.
And yes, so like anybody who wants to work with me, also contact Michelle and Tracy because they are amazing practitioners and they're just phenomenal. They're actually who I have work on me now. And so they're that amazing. They help me, there's this thing that happens where people believe there's a healed or a healthy where you're at a point in a destination. And that's not true. Healthy is continuously a journey. And the people that you see on Instagram and Facebook that are in the health community, doctors, whatever, fitness people, these pictures that we see of them, they're still constantly coming up with new protocols and new supplements because they're always on a health journey as well. Health is never done. Health is what we're doing in our life, interacting with relationships and foods and environment. And so, we're always continuously engaging in what it looks like to be healthier. And Michelle or Tracy are brilliant, wonderful practitioners who help me be my healthiest continuously. So I'm forever indebted to them and thankful to them for who they are. So tonight what we're going to be talking about is something that all three of us have discussed many times that is continuously overlooked, which is low energy. In this country, people are like, oh yeah, I'm tired, or they'll say, no, I'm fine. And I ask them, well, do you drink coffee every morning? Yeah, but I'm not addicted to anything. I'm fine. Okay, well, how's your sleep at night? It's fine. How are you sleeping at night then if it's fine? Well, I wake up about 2 or 3 times at night. That's not fine, right? And so we have this belief in our country that mediocre energy is fine, and it's not fine. And before we get into it, one of the things I want to give as an example is, there are whole continents of people, including Africa, where the women are literally malnourished, and yet their energy levels are on point. They don't have autoimmune issues. They don't have endocrine fertility issues. Their energy is they're going at it all day. So why is it that in this country we are hopped up on coffee and energy drinks and supplements, and yet our energy is at best fine, and we're accepting that? And what does that look like to have low energy? How does that affect us? All the things energy. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So as far as energy, one of the things that came up before we got on, us, all three of us ladies talk all the time. We do. Like Michelle and Tracy said, they're my students, and so we're constantly on the phone, and they're also my very, very dear friends. But we talk all the time, and so we thought, well, why don't we make a podcast? Because other people might want to hear this too, like the things that we're learning about health, the things that we're learning about supplements. Everything we recommend and do, we've tried ourselves, whether it be oils or any kind of anything, supplements, protocols. We've tried it ourselves before we encourage other people. So we thought, well, why not make a podcast talking about the things that we're trying and that we're learning. And so as far as low energy, before we started this podcast and before we pressed the go live button, I told Tracy and Michelle what we were all talking about as far as an ideal, and low energy was it that we're going to discuss today. And Tracy said, yes, that was actually what I worked on with her a long time ago when we first started working together. So what happened with that? Because I forget. That was so long ago, Tracy.
It was my very first appointment, and that was my biggest concern, was my energy level, because I would come home from work and sit on the couch and literally not be able to get up at all.
I can't even
imagine. Yeah, I know. And it was for a long time. I mean, probably over a year, I would just come home, sit, watch my husband take care of the kids, bathe them, make dinner, clean up, and my eyes would be closing. And lot of things have changed because I don't feel that way at all anymore. I come home, I feel energetic. I'm playing with the kids. I'm helping, we're working in the kitchen together. Um,
Yep. Every
yeah,
time
I
I'm
can't,
over
it
there,
was
you're
so long
making
ago.
something with einkorn.
Yes, I do love einkorn. I don't remember. I mean, I know this session was powerful. I'm trying to think what even was the root issue of that.
Well, you know what's funny that you bring up right now? That's what happens with me when you guys work on me too. Um, when we're holding these stresses in our body, it's neural pathways and belief systems. So our body only knows that way to handle a stress. So it holds that. It goes, this is the safest, best way to handle the stress. We're going to keep doing this. But once we do this work, we literally get rid of that pathway to where there are times where you guys have worked on me
Oh.
many times. And you guys are like, yeah, don't you remember when we worked on that? I'm like, nope. I don't even remember. I don't remember even thinking that way. Like it's gone, and even the QEEG brain scans of when I worked on people with the work that I've taught you guys and stuff and that you guys do on me now, it's literally a changed pathway. You can see it. Like the whole thing is changed. It's no longer a stress. It's totally different. And so it makes sense when you say that you don't even remember what the root stress is anymore. Yeah, I have the same thing happen when you guys work on me, where it's like it's gone. I literally don't think that way anymore. And that's one of the beauties of this. That reminds me of this of scripture where the verse that says a renewing of the mind, right? Taking every thought captive, and that's what we do in our work. We find those deep belief systems, we take those thoughts captive, we figure out, what do you do with a captive? You interrogate them. Like, where'd you come from? Why are you? What are you doing here? We do that, and then we let it, and then we change it, and we have that renewing of the mind, and it's amazing work. But I don't even remember working on that with you. So that's awesome. Yay. But
Yeah.
the work that we do, even when you guys work on me, our brain doesn't think one thing. It doesn't think just energy. It doesn't think just weight. So, when you come to me and you said, hey, I've got low energy, and then I'm figuring out what that storyline is, it's not just energy. Our brain goes, okay, well, back when I was 7, this is how I responded, and this is what I did with my endocrine or with my adrenals or what, our body interweaves all of these things. And so it's hard to remember all that storyline for that reason too, because we're complex beings, and it's not just a one thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember you checked some of my body systems and you were like, it's not your adrenals, it's not your this, it's not your that. Let's go. Like it was something emotional. It was
Super. Yeah. Yeah.
But
So
it's hard going from being a person who's running marathons, working out twice a day, having all of this energy, and then it's like a trigger, or those things get turned on and turned off, and when they're turned on, it's hard to
mhm.
for me then it was hard to figure out why.
Yeah. See, my story was really different, So, and hi, Christy. Christy is a wonderful practitioner as well. She's located in Virginia. Look her up. She's great. Christy, if you want to link your practice on there, that's awesome. She does a lot of really great body work too. So look up Christy. But my story was different. I had undiagnosed celiac disease my whole life growing up, and there's essentially, when you look it up online, there's like 4 types of celiac. There's the one where you actually have there's a few that have, most of them have digestive distress, like your stomach hurts, you've got bloating, all that. I didn't have any of that. I didn't know. That you have bleeding in your stool. I didn't have any of that either. I was exhausted. Like literally, I would eat gluten and pass out. And so growing up, my family didn't know. And they were like, yeah, Jennifer just sleeps a lot. Jennifer just loves naps. And I just thought I slept a lot. I thought I loved naps. I didn't know that that's what was going on. And so my story was very different. I just got worse and worse over time with less and less energy, where you came from like a distinct thing of like, you were running marathons and then it crashed. Mine was over time, I just got worse and worse and worse and more tired. And so, it wasn't until I went to see a functional medicine doctor, and I said, I was actually so tired that at that time, and this was years and years ago, at that time, I went from someone who didn't drink coffee at all to drinking triple espressos 3 times a day. let your face
Wow.
change for all that for a minute. Yeah, right. Like I see you like processing it, right? Yes. So I went into the functional medicine doctor and I said, look, I'm not just tired. I'm tired. Like I'm drinking 3 triple espressos a day and I'm still crashing where like I'm at the stoplight and I'm telling my oldest son at that point, and this was years ago, let me know when it turns green because I'm putting it in park. That's how tired I was. Seriously. I was so tired that I told him, and this is true, a fire alarm could go off and I don't know if I would wake up. I don't know if I would. And I spent close to $5,000 for him to run every test in the book. I mean, stool, blood, genetic, everything. And he said, you have celiac. And I was like, there's no way. I eat gluten. I'm fine. So I took out gluten, and it took a long time to undo that damage, but slowly I started having energy, and I noticed that if I did add back in gluten, and now I can eat gluten and I have no problems. Even though I genetically have celiac, I can literally eat gluten, no bloating, no tiredness, no anything. But I noticed that when I added back in gluten, the same thing would happen. I would crash and I would get really tired. But when talking about low energy, I didn't know any different. I was born into that genetically, where I just didn't tolerate gluten very well in a home where we ate bread. And the typical standard American diet includes breads, right? Most diets around the world include bread, a form of bread, whether it's naan or Eichorn or whatever it is, and so for me, I didn't know, and getting that key factor and getting that under control and healing my gut from that really silent issue that I had, I finally understood what it was to have energy. So now I'm on the other end of it where I'm like, wow, I don't even need coffee. I don't need this. I don't need that. And so I think that's probably one of the reasons why, to me, this is such a big thing to talk about too tonight, because again, like I said, first thing, it's one of those things that's silent. It's almost like a silent accepted symptom.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm going to pause there while you guys talk, because I talk a crap ton. But it's irritating to me that this is a silent accepted symptom, and yet it's not okay. It really means something's out of balance.
Yeah, you're right. And there's really a lot of silent accepted symptoms, I feel. I mean, there's a lot of people going through their daily life thinking that being tired or having a rash everywhere or having breakouts all the time, or there's a really long list of all these things that come up that people say, oh, well, that's normal. It's not normal. It's rampant, but it's not normal.
Yeah,
it's normal in our current society. But then there's also other ways of being tired. Like last night, I was woken up by my dog at 2:30 barking at my bedroom door wanting it. So I got up, let him in, and then I had a hard time falling back asleep, which isn't really normal for me, but it happens. So then today I was really tired.
I like how you bring that up, though, because your body notices it. There's a lot of people who I actually had a client recently who said, my sleep isn't great. And so you ask all the health history questions. Okay, so what's your sleep look like? Well, she said, I go to bed at midnight and I normally wake up around 4:30 every morning, but it's okay. And I'm like, that's not okay. Which for anyone listening, just so you know, we go in like a wave of sleep. And I want to say we have 2 types of detoxing systems in our body. We have a lymphatic system and we have a glymphatic system. So just add G to the word lymphatic and you can look it up. But our glymphatic system is only our brain, and you have to get into non-rapid eye movement for that to kick in. And what I see very often is people are not asleep long enough to get into that non-rapid eye movement. And again, when I look into why, usually there's something that during that really deep sleep, which is when our brain processes, it's when our brain says, I want to keep this, I want to get rid of that, that an emotional issue comes up that they're trying to process and they don't want to. And so they go, whoop, nope, we're going to go to the next stage of sleep. and get right out of that. So it's like, it's like you're up here and you're getting deeper and you're deeper. And then you're in that rapid eye movement where you're kind of tossing. And then you get into deep sleep and your brain starts going to these issues that it needs to process. And you go, nope, let's go back to that. Let's go back to rapid eye movement. And we're waking up. And that causes you to hold toxins in your brain. And it becomes this vicious cycle of your brain holding toxins. And if you look up Alzheimer's, dementia, all these things, every single time they have beta amyloid plaque and toxins in their brain. And so I can't stress enough how much sleep is important. Actually, I'll say one more thing, then I'll shut up again. Stress is so important that you can go up to 2 weeks without eating. You can go almost 2 days without water, but you can only go 4 days without sleep, and then you literally go insane. 4 days. So the most important thing is water and sleep. Like, you need sleep more than you need food, people. So all the people who are spending billions of dollars on supplements, sleep. If you are not
Just start sleeping.
yes, if you are not getting sleep, this is a serious thing. If you are tired, this is a serious thing for sure. Like, super serious, because you can put all you want in, but if your brain doesn't have time to do stuff with it during sleep, yeah, it's serious. Okay, now be quiet.
I hear a lot of people say that they have trouble going to sleep and then staying asleep, or even children. Like my son has trouble falling asleep. It takes him, honestly, 2 hours to wind down. 2 hours, and he's just tossing and turning. I kind of know why.
What is that?
That's squeaking. That's the dog toy. Let me quiet that.
Oh.
So what do you think of why your son is taking 2 hours to go to sleep? Like, I have my suspicions, but I want to hear what your thoughts are.
Because he's on devices, or he's in front of the video games. He's not getting enough activity. But his brain is running. So if he's laying down, he'll bring up random things, like really random stuff. I'm like, why are you? Oh, it was a friend's birthday party like a week ago, and we didn't get him a birthday gift. And he started talking about, oh, I think we should get so-and-so this. Do you think I could give him this of mine? And then he could have a gift. I'm like, where in the heck is this coming from?
Now, is this your son who is more EMF sensitive? The one who's more spiritually?
Yes, the youngest.
Yeah. I didn't want to name names in case you don't want your son's names out there and stuff. So I'm very okay. So when I say EMF, for anybody watching this, EMF stands for electromagnetic frequency. And you see all over now, especially in the health community, they're like EMF blockers and whatever. Well, there's actually two main types of EMF. The whole world, the earth itself, has electromagnetic frequency. The moon has electromagnetic frequency that then affects the tides. Our bodies have electromagnetic frequency. We have a bioelectrical frequency around our body. It's one of the things that we're measuring when we're measuring our brain waves and things like that. We're measuring our electromagnetic frequency and waves. So there's EMF, but then there's also non-natural, and you'll see it listed as NN EMF and non-natural EMF. One of the things you'll see very often, people who struggle with sleep, is that they are more sensitive to non-natural EMF and blue light. Blue light is that artificial, really, really bright light that we have inside, indoors. I am much more sensitive to non-natural EMF and blue light than some other people are. And that just has to do with the way my body is. It's just the way my body is. But I will say, people who are sensitive to non-natural EMF and people who are sensitive to blue light, they really have to work on their, what we call circadian rhythm and their sleep cycles. Because when they're around blue light, we end up staying up and getting what's called a second wind if we watch TV at night, right? Yep. I know it. If I am up past 10, I am up till 1. There's not an in between. And I have a strong willpower. I'm a really strong willpower person. But if I am up past 10, I am up till 1. I just am. And I will go to bed and I do what your son does. And I'll do this. Ticka, 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 ticka. And I'll be like, hey, did you know 3 years ago that they did this? And then they also invented that. And isn't it crazy? Or I become Boo from Monsters, Inc. who's like just laughing absurdly at nothing.
Yeah.
I'm like, like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So like I know I have to watch how much blue light I'm around. I have to be outside around the natural light every day to balance it. And I have to watch out for my minerals. People who are non-natural EMF sensitive, they're more sensitive to minerals and mineralization because minerals conduct electricity, and I'm very electromagnetic sensitive, electrical sensitive. And yeah, and I have to, like you said, I have to be physically up outside every day. Like it could be 20 degrees and my butt has to go outside. There's something about being in the natural light, the natural sun, being on earth, like on the earth, that, barefoot as much as I can outside. If not, it does mess with my circadian rhythm a whole lot. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a kid that likes to run barefoot a lot, and that could be why, because he knows that it's really, I mean, he like barefoot, no shirt. He's like an
Me too.
island baby. Like he does not, he's like, I just wearing shorts or pants. That's it, wherever we go.
But
I mean, a lot of times
Illinois,
he
and that
forgets
was
his
me.
shoes
Yeah.
at the house. Yeah.
Yeah, it's same thing. Like I remember getting in
Typically.
trouble in Illinois because you got snow, right? Growing up. And I remember my mom and dad being like, "You need shoes on." I'm like, "I don't care." I'd come inside and I couldn't even feel my cheeks. Like, but you know how they like you feel them almost melting when you come inside because they're tingling? That would happen to me. Because I just, like you're saying, he knows it. I knew I needed to be barefoot. I knew I needed to be in the sun. Yeah, just that sensitivity of that. And I didn't really return to that. I fell away from that as I got into my 20s. And I was the kid who skipped school to go play outside. For real. Like for real. Like I wouldn't skip school to go to parties. I wouldn't skip school because of what I would skip school and go to the beach. I would skip school and go to a park. I would skip school so I could be barefoot outside and half naked, as much as I could. And that's for real. And when I got my 20s, you're working in an office and you're inside blue light and all that. And that's when I started noticing my health really deteriorating, was at that time. And over time and trying to get healthier and and regain my health back, that's when I started naturally just returning to being barefoot. And then I started looking up grounding and earthing. It can be under PubMed studies under grounding or earthing. Mm-hmm. And I started looking up what it is to actually look at the light cycles and biological cycles and being in the sun and what it is to have blue light in your house and what it does to your body. And I was like, oh snap, that makes sense. Because for me, that was more important than food, really. Sleep and the electrical body, to me, and still is, more important than food. I can change a lot of things in my food. Those things are the most important to me. Yeah.
Our bodies are amazing. It's so cool the way that you just feel like, oh, I want to be outside. And you might not have any idea why. Just like I remember you finding out about the negative ions in the water. You said you took a lot of showers and you didn't know why, but then you found out.
Right. I forgot about that. Yeah, people who are really sensitive to electricity, a lot of times they're the people who are known as empaths. Like Christy, she said that that's her too, right? As far as being sensitive with non-natural EMF and stuff. And people who are normally sensitive with non-natural EMF, they or who stay up past 10 and then they're up for that like second wind. Those are the same people. They're also usually known as empaths. And I didn't know that about running water has a negative ionic action, and that negative ionic action actually helps balance the bioelectrical body. And I remember growing up and I would go through a whole water heater worth of water, and my dad and mom would be like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, literally, I'm just standing in the shower. That's it. Like, I'm like just standing in the shower. And I needed that. Like, I knew I just felt better in my body, better in my skin when I would do that. And when I was outside barefoot, I just knew that when I don't do that, I remember feeling like, even when I was young, feeling like everything felt stiff and like uncomfortable when I didn't do that. And I would go take a shower, and I don't think it was the heat. It was the movement of the water. Or I'd go outside, and even when it was cold, and play, and I felt loose. I felt more flow in my body. I didn't feel so tense and anxious.
Yeah. it's really good to follow the cues your body's giving you, even if you don't understand why.
Yeah.
But
I,
I think it's also important to talk about some things that we can do to combat the non-natural EMF. And some of the things that I use are like most people have the what is it called? The extra glass that goes on your phone screen,
oh,
like the protective glass layer.
mhm.
You can actually get those that block the blue light.
No. I didn't even know
And
that, Michelle.
yeah,
No,
you didn't
I
know
need
that?
that. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm like literally, I'm writing that
you
down
can
right
get
now.
them.
Hold on. Okay.
You can get them for your computer too. And if you don't want to go that route, you can get the glasses that block
Yeah, my
the
nose
blue
is so
light.
big. Anybody want to look at my nose? It's so big. I don't do glasses. No. And I always want to be the cute girl who does. I'm not. But the blue blocking thing for your phone, that's awesome because I remember a long time ago looking up a hack for it, and I always have my screen on more red than blue
Yeah.
because of that. But to get that blue blocking screen thing, that's awesome. Yeah, that's a good idea. Good trick. Thank you.
Yeah. And then also, not for blue light, but for the EMF that comes off of your phone, there are so many things, different brands that sell the things that you can put on the back of your phone or wherever that help change the frequency coming off from the
I'd like
non-natural
to get.
EMF.
Yeah, and I've seen those, and okay, so I would like to, because I bought a few of them, and it's a ripoff. I'm not gonna lie, it's a rip. I don't notice any difference, and I'm so EMF sensitive. I would notice, right? It's a ripoff. So I'd like to get one of those, and I haven't yet. So if anybody has a good recommendation, post it in the comments and let me know. One of the ones that measures the EMF, because then when we go to get them, when we order them, I can try it and actually see it, so
Yeah,
I
you
can make
mean an
better
EMF
recommendations for
meter?
people. Yeah, yeah.
I'll send you a link to one. But I have tested myself with different ones, so I can send you some links to the different little things that you put on your phone
Yeah, when
too.
we're done, if you don't mind putting links in here so people can access those links and have that, that'd be awesome. Because
Yeah.
I don't think people realize how much the EMF from your phone really does bother everybody. Like the when they've done live blood samples and looking at the cell
Mm-hmm.
structure of the red blood, there's live blood samples and desiccated, like dried out blood. But the live blood samples, when they looked at it regarding the EMF and stuff, it's crazy how much inflammation there is. It doesn't even look like a typical round cell. It looks horrible and distorted. So yeah, that'd be cool to have those links in there, because if nothing else, I'm doing that. I used to live on an organic farm, and now I live in an apartment, and there's internet and all the benefits of the internet, like me being able to do a podcast from home, but all the bad things of the internet and stuff, where it's really bad for our body. It does put us in a point of inflammation and free radicals and damage to our body on a cellular level. So ways to mitigate that, if you want to post those links, I would highly appreciate it.
I will. And speaking of your home, there's actually a device that you can plug into your outlet that protects your whole house. It does a certain square footage. So if you have a small home, one's fine. If you have a bigger home, you might need two. If you have a very, very large home, you might need more than that.
Yeah, post that as well. That would be awesome to see, because I was looking into that. So what I did when I moved in here was, that because you guys work on me and stuff, is I started noticing that my body was so shocked with the EMF, and I wasn't sleeping at night. I was waking up and tossing and turning. And so then I bought shungite stones and put them all around my bed. And I think I bought it for like $20 for like a whole big bag of shungite, because they're the raw ones. They're not like, they're just super raw ones. And I put that on, and then I was sleeping well, and that helped a lot. But being able to put things in electrical outlets, I think that would help too. Yeah, even today, I had a headache because I had been inside doing work for 2 days in a row, and I could tell I needed to go outside. And after about 20 minutes of outside, even though it was freezing cold, my headache was gone. I felt so much better. I didn't feel any joint pain or anything. So it really does affect us, but I feel like we get so used to it because we're a society now, especially with social distancing, where we're almost always inside now around Wi-Fi and around internet. So yeah, it'd be good to have those links. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I'll put those in there. And another trick is to turn your Wi-Fi off when you're not using it. There's switches you can even buy that just
Yeah, I've seen those at Lowe's where you can put it on a timer.
Have it automatically turn off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, if we want to go deeper with it, we could also talk about smart meters and all the stuff that they put off, and you can buy shields for that too. And you can buy shields for your breaker box.
I feel like anyone who's interested, let us know, but comment below. But I feel like maybe this should be a whole other one. And you know what?
Yeah,
on my
true.
list,
It's a separate
I have a list
topic
on my wall of podcasts that we would like to make. I do not have this on my list, so I'm going to write it down right now.
There we go.
Yeah, because one of the other things with EMF that you're looking at, and this is true, EMF doesn't just affect us, it affects parasites, candida, fungus, mold, all that stuff. So anybody watching this who has chronic illness, chronic inflammation, I'm talking about anything. You're looking at Lyme, and they say, you know what, I was on an antibiotic for Lyme and it didn't get rid of it. I've been on this for candida and didn't get rid of it. One of the major things to look at is the EMF around you, because when we're looking at EMF, even when they did studies on 4G and they had culture mediums of Lyme and candida and mold, when they exposed it to EMF versus the culture mediums that were not exposed to EMF, because the EMF stresses the whatever it's around, it stresses the cells of it. Those the Lyme, the bacteria, the parasites, all of it is stressed, so it reproduces faster. It actually reproduces up to 600 times faster than if it wasn't exposed to that. What that means for you is if you're trying to fight candida, mold, Lyme, bacteria, any kind of thing, you're fighting every day 600 days worth more than if you weren't around EMF. I'm going to be quiet for a minute and let that sit. Right? So even the people who are like, I'm not EMF sensitive, yeah, but the stuff that's in you is. It is. And that alone is chronic illness. And what we're hearing and what it's being diagnosed as is fibromyalgia or lupus or whatever, when really in reality, it's parasites and fungus and mold that is going rogue, and our body attacking the parasites, attacking the fungus, attacking the mold. But that stuff's just, it's irritated, it's upset, so it's just spreading like wildfire. And so we have this horrible thing going on in our bodies, and then we go, I'm just tired, I just don't have energy, I don't know why. Well, these are the reasons why. These are the root issues of why. I'm taking notes for our future podcast, so you guys can speak for a minute while I write down notes.
So I wonder how long those.
Yeah, I've definitely heard the same thing. I've seen the studies.
I just gotta say, my dad just wrote, he's proud of me.
I think there must be a delay.
There's a delay, but I'm just gonna say,
because when I start talking, I don't think you hear me at first. But I've seen studies specifically.
Michelle, take your earphones out and see if that fixes it.
Oh, Dad.
Tracy and I are at the same time. Michelle's delayed. Michelle, take your earphones out.
So I've seen this. Oh,
sure. There we go.
Yeah. So that's my dad. So you guys see where it says William Van Allen there? That's my dad. Everybody send him love.
I did.
Love you, Dad.
They've been out.
Oh my gosh. She's like, we're like in another dimension right now. And she's like.
Yeah, the earphones didn't help because. Why is that happening? What I was trying to say is I've seen that same statistic specifically for mold, because that's something that I have dealt with. And it was the same 600 when mold is exposed to Wi-Fi, EMF, all of that, it grows 600 times faster per second.
per second. That's
I
why
mean,
even at that, when I'm
it's
saying
crazy.
like 600 days worth, that's the best case scenario. And also those studies were done on 4G, they're not done on 5G. And for people who are looking at 4G, 5G, actually, I feel like that's a whole other podcast that we got to get into, because I actually have somebody who works in installing internet. And he said he's going to come on our podcast and talk about it. So tune in when we do one about 4G, 5G and that podcast, because he's been working in this field, installing cell phone towers and such for 20 years now. Yeah, like it's what he does. He's a wonderful resource for us to have on here. But yeah, I mean, if nothing else, mitigating as much as you can as far as the exposure to the to non-natural EMF, and also to the electricity that's in and around our house, because it runs at a different current. There's AC and DC, and the current that runs through our houses, even if you don't have a router, even if you don't have Wi-Fi, just the electricity that literally runs through our house is inflammatory to us. There's a book called Water, Electricity, and Health by Alan Hall, Alanhall, and he cites a whole bunch of studies that were done years and years ago when houses were first switching into being electrically wired, when they were houses without any electricity, switching them into having electricity on the grid on that one street, and what happened to all those houses. And there's also been studies about homes in Japan where they had electricity and then they went to being non-electricity, and within weeks all their health issues went away. Their insomnia, their allergies, whatever, just went away. So it's not just the phone and the EMF, it's also the electricity is a different type of electricity than what runs through our body. So that in itself, as much as we can be off of electricity, as we are on our podcast under our blue light right now, but as much as we can be outside to balance it, barefoot outside to balance it, is really helpful. And encouraging minerals. Michelle did a great post about minerals today with Black Oxygen Organics, which is actually what this is. That's what this black water is. She did a great, it was so great, Michelle. I screenshotted it so I can post it later. It was that good. I was
Awesome.
like, oh man, you worded that so well.
Thanks.
It was succinct and to the point. And we are minerals. So much of what we are is minerals. Some people are like, I'm tired. We're not meant to be tired. We're not. And people who say, well, I'm 50. That means nothing. There are people in their 50s who are power lifters in better shape than me, that put me to shame. And that's not the exception. There are whole continents of people who have people in their 50s, in their 60s, who are kicking butt, man. And so in this country, it is sad that we see low energy and we go, yeah, but it's because I'm this age, or, oh, well, I only drink 2 cups of coffee a day. How many people how many people have you guys worked on and me worked on where they're like, it's only 2 cups of coffee a day? And you're like, that's still not good, people. That's not good. And not that coffee's bad, I've had people ask that. I've had people, Michelle, awesome.
Michelle.
I've had people ask that. I've had people ask me, is coffee bad? Coffee can be really desiccating to a female's body specifically, very desiccating. But coffee can also be just like any other herb. Plants, coffee comes from a bean. It's a plant. Plants are very cleaning and detoxing to our system. It's why a lot of people say, when I drink coffee, I have a bowel movement. Or I can ask people, are you constipated? They say, no. And I say, okay, go 3 days without coffee and see what happens. And then they come back and they're like, yeah, without coffee, I can't go to the bathroom. I am constipated. So coffee is very activating to our system, and it's very cleaning, like a lot of plant material is. And it's very stimulating. The thing is, our bodies in the United States are so stimulated. We're very, very rarely are we in rest and digest. Go back to the beginning of the video. We're very rarely in rest and digest, and that's why we have so many health issues. So then when we're already not in rest and digest, we're already super on, and then we add into that be more on, which is what coffee does and stimulating. It's too much. But that doesn't mean coffee's bad. There are times where coffee can be very balancing for people. I know for me, and even in genetics, there are certain people who, due to their genetics, coffee is actually balancing to them and balancing to their body with how they have uptake of certain minerals and vitamins. So for certain people, coffee, it really is very balancing.
Yeah, I think coffee. Am I like on your timeline now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back on the timeline,
That
baby.
was really weird. So, coffee is one of those funny things in the natural health world where some people are like, no coffee ever, never ever. It's totally horrible. It's a no for everyone all the time. And Jennifer, I think I told you this just probably like 2 days ago. I was testing coffee for Josh because for a long time, Josh's
And Josh
family.
is Michelle's husband. by the
Oh,
way.
right. Sorry.
Yes, sir. That's good.
Yeah. So, his family is all coffee drinkers. I mean, his mom would drink coffee all day long. And that's what he grew up with, and his aunts and everybody. So he drank coffee, but then he quit for a long time. And now he has started drinking a cup of coffee again. So I was like, oh, I wonder, is this good for him? Well, guess what? For him, it actually is balancing.
Me too.
But you have to be careful because it matters what type of coffee you're drinking.
Oh, yeah. You know what? While you say that, I'm going to go get a type of coffee real quick because I want to talk about it. And I know this is where we're going to go because I was talking about tiredness. So I'm serious. I'm going to go grab it. I'll be right back.
Okay. So I have this biofeedback device that can test all kinds of things. And that is the reason that coffee came up for Josh, because it came up as an allergy for him. And I was like, babe, this has come up a couple of times. I think you really need to stop drinking it again. But then I started testing, yay, coffee. So then I started testing I tested him myself using muscle testing. I was like, wait a minute, actually coffee is balancing for you. But the reason the biofeedback device was saying he's allergic to it is because he is allergic to the conventional coffee. So go ahead.
Yeah. And I wonder if it's an allergy to the coffee or if it's the fact that most coffee, and I don't want to use an absolute statement, most coffee has mold. Most corn and most coffee has mold. Yeah. So you're taking
and peanuts too.
You're essentially taking it and you're just drinking that into your system, right? Yeah. This coffee, I got this coffee at Christmas, and I think you can see it. It actually it's 70% less acid. So when we're looking at coffee, sometimes people need more acid and sometimes they need less acid. They need more alkaline, less alkaline. But this one's 70% less acid, but it has 7 times more antioxidants than green tea. And it, for me, is very, very balancing. When I drink it, I can only drink so much of it, but it feels better for me than a lot of other things that, I could be drinking for sure. But
so where did you get it?
Amazon. I know that's not your favorite answer. Sorry. I know a lot of people are like anti-Amazon right now, and I get it, but I'm also like, I get a lot of good stuff there. So I don't know what to say. So you can probably get it. Let's see. It's Pure Roast. So PUROAST Wellness. You could probably go to their website. They probably have a website and buy it directly. But it's just the vanilla ground low acid coffee. But and also
that's a good point.
It doesn't have mold in it either.
And that's a good point about Amazon too. You can't, most of the things you buy on Amazon, you can go directly to the product's website and order it. And sometimes there's even a coupon for it. It might take a couple more days to get to you, but and then the company will make more money too.
That's true. I keep my coffee in the freezer too, though. So that way it's not as prone to any kind of mold or anything growing. Yeah. So I keep my coffee in the freezer. It helps it taste better. But getting a low acid and getting an organic coffee and looking for ones that are known to not have mold. Those are really good things if you find that coffee is balancing for you. There are some people where, depending on their genetics, green tea is not balancing, and there are people where green tea is super great for them. So, you touched on something so great earlier when you were like, in the health community, they're anti-coffee. It's so annoying to me. You know this because you're my friend. It is so flipping annoying to me when they're like, you need to do this diet, that one's bad, or this product and this food's bad. No food is innately good or bad, people. Like, it's just not. we're all very diverse beings, and you know what's good for Michelle might be different for me, might be different for Tracy. I know for me, I eat mostly modified keto, but I genuinely love granola and goat milk before bed. I do. I do. I love it. I love having a carb before bed. I sleep better, talking about, you know, low energy. I come from a long line of people, even my grandfather, who would have some kind of simple carb or complex carb or something before he went to bed, and I slept better. And we look at people, when we look at children and we look at nursing moms, before they go to bed, they have that fore milk and that hind milk, that satiating fat and carbs, and that's what makes them sleep well, right? So I feel like there's a lot that's lost in the health community where they look at things very petri dish, but they don't look at things really how it works in our body and what's tried and true. And what's tried and true, and a lot of my family, is really having some carbs before bed and fats. And then I sleep really well. If I don't do that, I don't sleep as deep. So I don't get into that really deep non-rapid eye movement that we have to be in for our brain to detox and our body to function better. Yeah. I think it's kind of like, you know, people say, my kid just wants a bed snack and they won't eat dinner. Well, those are two separate issues. Your kid probably needs a bed snack and dinner. It's not one or the other. So a simple fix for that is save the dinner and give it to them as a bed snack.
No.
Yeah, I've done that many times where I'm like, you don't want to eat this? Fine, you can have it later.
Yep.
Great.
I've
Bed
done that
snack's
too.
already made. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's about it that I wanted to say about low energy. Did you guys want to say anything else about low energy tonight?
I think I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, ladies, for joining me, and thank you for having me. And this is so fun. And I'm excited. We did our first podcast and it's streaming live, so we can't even take it back now. We can't even be like, I don't know, we didn't like that. Let's not post it. It's done.
It's done,
It's official.
ladies.
It's official.
So tune in. We're going to try doing this every Thursday around this time. So tune in again next Thursday. And please love and share this post. And we're going to have Michelle is going to be posting links about a whole bunch of things to help mitigate non-natural EMF. And please love and share this post so we know that you enjoy it and we keep doing these things. All right. Love you guys. Bye.
Love you. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Love you.